The annals of Roman history are replete with tales of ambition, power, and tragic ends, but few figures embody this more starkly than Marcus Licinius Crassus. A man whose name became synonymous with immense wealth, political maneuvering, and military aspiration, Crassus's life was a testament to the volatile nature of Roman power. His ultimate fate, however, was a gruesome and ignominious death at the hands of the Parthians, a demise so brutal it etched itself into the collective memory of Rome as a cautionary tale of hubris and overreach. This essay will explore the life and career of Crassus, tracing his relentless pursuit of power and wealth, his pivotal role in the First Triumvirate, and ultimately the disastrous Parthian campaign that led to his horrific end, a death that served as a brutal punctuation mark to a life driven by insatiable ambition. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest videos. Now, let's get going. Born into a distinguished, though not immensely wealthy plebeian family in 115 BCE, Crassus's early life was shaped by the tumultuous political landscape of the late Roman Republic. His father, a staunch supporter of Sulla, suffered during the Marian purges, and Crassus himself was forced to flee Rome. This period of exile undoubtedly instilled in him a deep-seated desire for security and power, which he would later pursue with unwavering determination. He returned to Rome with Sulla during the latter's civil war against Marius and Cinna, distinguishing himself as a capable military commander. It was during Sulla's proscriptions that Crassus began to amass his legendary fortune. He shrewdly acquired the confiscated properties of Sulla's enemies at bargain prices, often employing questionable tactics. He also engaged in various lucrative enterprises, including slave trading, silver mines, and real estate, famously owning a significant portion of Rome's rental properties. His wealth gave him immense influence, allowing him to loan money to senators, build political alliances, and fund his own ambitions. Crassus understood that wealth alone was insufficient for true power in Rome. Military glory was the ultimate currency. His opportunity to gain this came with the Spartacus slave revolt, 73 to 71 BCE. Though Pompey would later claim much of the credit, it was Crassus who was initially entrusted with the difficult task of crushing the rebellion. He displayed considerable military acumen, restoring discipline to the Roman legions and ultimately cornering Spartacus's forces. The brutal crucifixion of 6,000 captured slaves along the Appian Way, ordered by Crassus, served as a chilling testament to the ruthlessness with which he sought to end the threat and assert Roman dominance. Despite his decisive victory, Crassus felt overshadowed by Pompey, who returned from Spain to claim a share of the glory by intercepting a small contingent of Spartacus's fleeing slaves. This rivalry with Pompey would define much of Crassus's later political career. The political landscape of Rome in the 60s BCE was dominated by a handful of powerful individuals, and Crassus, with his immense wealth and a formidable network of clients, was undoubtedly one of them. However, his ambition was often frustrated by the equally ambitious and more popular figures of Pompey and the rising star, Julius Caesar. Recognizing the limitations of individual power in a fractured republic, Crassus entered into a secret political alliance with Pompey and Caesar in 60 BCE, an arrangement famously known as the First Triumvirate. This informal pact, based on mutual self-interest, allowed the three men to bypass the traditional mechanisms of the Senate and effectively control Roman politics. Crassus provided the financial backing and political leverage, Pompey offered military prestige and influence, and Caesar, with his burgeoning popularity and strategic brilliance, served as the driving force. The triumvirate allowed Crassus to achieve his political goals, securing a consulship with Pompey in 55 BCE, during which they passed legislation beneficial to their interests. However, the triumvirate was always a fragile alliance, fraught with underlying tensions and rivalries. Crassus, despite his wealth and political acumen, continued to feel that he lacked the military glory that adorned Pompey and Caesar. While Caesar was conquering Gaul and Pompey was consolidating his influence in Rome, Crassus yearned for a grand military command that would elevate him to their level. His gaze turned eastward towards the wealthy and formidable Parthian Empire. The Parthians, a powerful empire based in modern-day Iran, were a tempting target, rich in resources and ripe for conquest, or so Crassus believed. Despite warnings and omens, and against the advice of many, Crassus secured the governorship of Syria for 5 years, granting him command of 7 legions and the authority to launch an invasion of Parthia. This decision, driven by a desperate need for military glory and a desire to outshine his triumviral partners, would prove to be his fatal error. The Parthian campaign, launched in 54 BCE, was a disaster from its inception. Crassus, now in his 60s, lacked the strategic brilliance and tactical experience required for such a formidable undertaking. His initial movements were hesitant, and he squandered opportunities to secure alliances with local rulers. He also made the critical mistake of underestimating the Parthian military, particularly their highly effective cavalry, which included heavily armored cataphracts and swift horse archers. Instead of following the Euphrates River, which would have provided a secure supply line and a more defensible route, Crassus was persuaded by an Arab chieftain, Abgar II of Osrhoene, who was secretly allied with the Parthians, to march his legions across the desolate plains of Mesopotamia. This decision exposed his army to the full might of the Parthian cavalry in an environment where Roman heavy infantry was at a distinct disadvantage. The climax of the campaign came at the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BCE. Crassus's legions, exhausted and thirsty, were caught in the open by a much smaller but incredibly disciplined Parthian force led by Serena. The Roman legions, accustomed to close-quarters combat, were utterly unprepared for the Parthian tactics. The horse archers, constantly moving, rained down volleys of arrows that pierced Roman shields and armor, inflicting devastating casualties from a distance. The cataphracts, heavily armored cavalry, then charged, breaking Roman formations. Crassus's son, Publius, leading a diversionary attack, was surrounded and killed. His head later presented to Crassus on a pike. The Roman army was decimated, suffering tens of thousands of casualties. Crassus himself, witnessing the utter collapse of his forces and the death of his son, was reportedly distraught and paralyzed by indecision. With his army in tatters, Crassus and the remnants of his legions attempted to retreat under the cover of darkness. However, the Parthians, relentless in their pursuit, continued to harass the fleeing Romans. Crassus's remaining officers, desperate to save what was left of the army, pressured him to negotiate with Serena. Reluctantly, Crassus agreed to a parley despite the clear danger. Accounts of his death vary, but all agree it was brutal and humiliating. According to Plutarch, Crassus, along with his staff, was ambushed during the supposed negotiations. He was either killed in a skirmish that broke out, or more famously, was captured alive. The most enduring and gruesome legend, recounted by Cassius Dio, claims that the Parthians, mocking his insatiable greed, poured molten gold down his throat. This symbolic act was a chilling testament to the Roman obsession with wealth and the Parthian contempt for it. Regardless of the exact method, Crassus's death was a deliberate act of humiliation and vengeance by the Parthians, a stark message to Rome. The aftermath of Crassus's death sent shockwaves through Rome. The loss of 7 legions and the ignominious death of a triumvir was a profound blow to Roman prestige and military might. The Parthians, emboldened by their victory, became a formidable and enduring rival on Rome's eastern frontier for centuries. More immediately, Crassus's death removed the crucial balancing force in the First Triumvirate. With him gone, the fragile alliance between Caesar and Pompey quickly dissolved, leading to the inevitable civil war that would ultimately bring an end to the Roman Republic and usher in the Age of Emperors. Crassus's ambition, which had driven him to such immense wealth and power, ultimately led him to a catastrophic defeat and a horrific end, forever linking his name with the perils of unchecked avarice and military overreach. In conclusion, Marcus Licinius Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome, met a brutal and ignominious end that perfectly encapsulated the dangers of unbridled ambition in the Roman Republic. From his shrewd accumulation of wealth during Sulla's proscriptions to his pivotal role in the First Triumvirate, Crassus relentlessly pursued power, always feeling the need to match the military glory of his rivals, Pompey and Caesar. His disastrous Parthian campaign, culminating in the catastrophic Battle of Carrhae in his gruesome death, served as a stark reminder that even the greatest wealth and political influence could not guarantee success against a formidable enemy when coupled with poor judgment and an insatiable desire for glory. His demise not only marked a personal tragedy, but also fundamentally altered the course of Roman history, paving the way for the civil war that would dismantle the Republic. Crassus's brutal death remains a powerful historical narrative, a chilling testament to the ultimate cost of ambition when it outstrips prudence and foresight. So, tell us what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest content. And as always, see you in the next video.